We made ourselves a jig out of a piece of scrap wood, and we bought ourselves a FED 180mm in length. We attached screws to a 4-inch and 9-inch diameter circle. So we began by placing the rope in the centre and working in a clockwise direction towards the outer. We placed the blue rope underneath because we didn't have a spine needle at the time, so it made it more easy to tie off in a bit. You'll see that in a bit anyway. So yeah, you work towards the middle from the outer once you've reached the outer edge, trying to keep it as tight as you can all the way through. Once you're finished, you just tie off. This is using the string that we passed underneath before, just using the packer's knot, wrapping around our FED over the top and then pulling it as tight as you can all the way around with each string, and then tying with a half hitch knot through the middle. Just do the last one, and then once they're all in place, just cut off the loose ends. And now we're left with the completed core, which is the cheese. Now we move on to measure out 9.5 meters of rope and middle it, ready for doing the lanyard knot.
We middle it, so we've got a loop then at the top. We then take the bottom strand, create a loop over the top strand, like so. Then we take the other working end, we go underneath this strand, and then we go over the top, underneath, and over the top. What is the actual loop. Okay, so now we take the other working end and do exactly the same thing. We go around the loop and through the middle. And do exactly the same thing. We go around the loop and through the middle. Literally fold the knot up, pull on the loop and pull on the downs, pull on the loop, pull on the other strands, and then just work the knot clockwise so that it's nice and snug. Basically, it's quite simple. We've got two together.
Then we attach the lanyard knot to the core, to the cheese, using what they call a cow hitch. Just remember to keep everything as tight as you can, then basically just work your way around the outside of the cheese, in and out of the hole, all the way around until you reach about halfway. Then to finish off, you just thread the loose ends underneath the ring bolt hitch probably 2 or 3 times, and then just trim them off. And that's our completed disc fender.
I'll start off by middling my first piece of 14 foot 10mm rope, put it in the jig, I've pushed the fid through, push the other piece of 14 foot rope through to the middle. Push them into the jig, take the end and then hang it up. We've clamped the rope up on the ceiling and added a swivel, I think it's off a dog's chain, makes it a lot easier to do the fender. We then start doing our crowning. First one's a little bit tricky. So for the crowning, we've got our 4 pieces of dangling rope and we're going to start looping them over each other. So we take the first strand, loop it over the second strand over the third strand over the fourth, and put the fourth one through the first loop. Pull them all through, tighten them up, keep working it. I like to pull them back. 1 over 2, 2 over 3, 3 over 4, 4 through. One over 2, 2 over 3, 3 over 4, and slide the fourth one through. Keep working it round, pull it up. Nice and tight. Keep going till you get near the top. And take it off the rope, and what I like to do is trim the edges, trim the ends, put some tape on, so it's just tapering them off, easier for the next stage. So to finish it off, I push the fid through the top of the fender, like through the middle, and come out about 2 strands below. On some of them I started going a bit lower because I weren't sure if that was going to pull out, but on this one 2 strands below, and then take the next strand, put it over the strand coming up, and push the fid through and pull it through. Keep working them tight. Once they're all done, you can trim them off. Now for the fat one. We took 2 pieces of chain. We had nothing to chop them off at the end with, so we'll do that later. Laid them on the table, put a D-shackle around the middle, and then laid out lots of different bits of rope, various sizes. Because we was experimenting, we didn't really know what length to do them, so we just used what we had and started tying them around the chain. And kept working down different layers with different lengths. added more bits of rope, we worked them around the chain, try and get them equal before tightening up too tight. We was getting quite a nice big chunky middle, exactly what we wanted. Took off the tape, and then we started sort of feathering it, breaking up the edges to take off that hard edge, so it would smooth all the layers into one. And tied them all down. So it became much more of a smoother graduation. And kept going until we had the thickness that we wanted for the core of the fender. We then took 10 lengths of about 20 foot, 6 metres, really. It was a bit of guesswork. Tied it in the middle, tied it quite tight in the middle, and then hung it up. And again, exactly like the side fender, we're going to do crowning. We've just got a lot more lengths of rope, a lot longer lengths of rope, so it gets a little bit tangled and awkward. So again, you're just looping over the next bit of rope in the line and first few rows are really tricky because you've got the chain in the way, you've got long lengths of rope, but you just keep going, it gets easier as you go further up the core. Just keep saying to yourself 1 over 2, 2 over 3, 3 over 4, and so on. The hardest bit is pulling them up tight. You just have to keep working round, pulling bits of the rope as you're going until you get it as tight to the core as you can. Once you've done one side, turn it over and do exactly the same on the other. As you work up the core and it gets gradually narrower, you need to lose a couple of the ropes. So just tie them up out of the way. And then carry on doing the crowning, just missing them ones out. Now again, it gets a little bit tricky, but they gradually get pushed against the main core. When you reach the top, you'll just be finishing it off like you did the side fenders. exactly the same, and then you end up with this big fat boy.